Hello, you're welcome to another edition of Power Wheel as we all join hands to make giant strides in the transmission company of Nigeria's expansion of its grid with massive investments in transmission lines and substation projects. This week on the program, transmission capacity to increase to 1,350 megawatts after the commissioning of various projects across the nation. TCN gets a pat on the back for prompt restoration of power after damaged 1x150 MVA power transformer at Jos Transmission Substation. Update on transmission substations in and around the FCT, and not forgetting your feedback. These and more will be all yours. Thank you for joining us on the Power Wheel. I am Omelogo Nadi. If you're just joining us, this is Power Wheel, a television package of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. It highlights achievements in the transmission process of power, ongoing projects and policies of government, and of course, all efforts to keep the lights switched on. Our Power News segment is next.
As part of efforts of the Transmission Company of Nigeria to further develop the capacity of staff to position the organization for optimal results, the head of Independent System Operation of TCN, Maman Lawal, exposed staff on how to be an authentic leader. This was part of his knowledge-impacting exercise on staff of the TCN, noting that competence, passion, perception, and integration are some factors that make a good professional at the workplace.
There are situations, exceptional situations, where two are necessary for you to get along with your job. If you have the passion and you have the strength in terms of competency, for instance, okay, in exceptional cases, that may be sufficient ground for you, to feel fulfilled in the course of your professional life.
The person management is not self-centered. It is not about what I want to take home. It's about changing, the way we do things and moving TCN forward.
Mr. Lawal also intimated staff of TCN of the hazards of leadership, some of which include being an imposter, a loner, and a self-glorifier.
You just have to be yourself, do what is right, and do things right. There are different things. As you are doing what is right, you have to make sure you do things right. The first one actually depicts the leadership in you, and the second depicts the manager in you.
This is another measure of the Transmission Company of Nigeria to be an excellent player in driving power sector to enviable heights.
Transmission capacity is expected to increase by the end of 2017 to 1,350 megawatts after the commissioning of various projects across the country. This is coming from the interim managing director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Usman Gur Mohammed, while interacting with energy correspondents in Abuja. Mr. Mohammed said lines will be reconducted to give higher capacity, noting that from now to the end of January 2018, commissioning of these new projects will be done.
We have commissioned a lot of transformers also in the past, using in-house capacity. So that's what we're doing. That's why I told you, going forward, we are going to test the conducting so that we give enough capacity to all the transformers. Anywhere we have transformer, we should give them enough lines to be able to take the load.
The interim managing director also noted that for Nigeria to make steady and significant progress in the power sector, there must be a deliberate separation between power and politics. Later in the day, journalists were conducted round some power substations at Abo, Katampe and Suleja to get updates on the installation of new transformers set to boost transmission capacity. At the substations, Assistant General Manager Transmission Engineer Suleiman Mahmood explained that the Apo substation is the first transmission station in Abuja, while reiterating government's renewed vigor towards reinforcing the capacity of transmission.
Here in Apo, as you can see, I think we can say 60% completion. So all these projects are geared towards government commitment to improve power supply, especially capacity in transmission stations, which happens to be under government control. And a lot of projects are ongoing under the World Bank across the country. But these projects are the ones I'm explaining within Abuja transmission sub-region, one of the largest transmission sub-regional office in the country, having about 12 transmission substations under it.
At Katambe and Suleja, Engineer Mahmood told journalists of how Katambe substation is strategic to Abuja, stressing that there will be more capacity for customers after the commissioning.
Katambe is one of our strategic substations in Abuja, serving most areas like the Maitama, Wuse, and all those areas. So we have more capacity added to the station to cater for the customers in that axis. So the project is ongoing and it will be commissioned. That is the plan. So the capacity of this Katampe, we have the 2x60, 13233 plus 1x100. So presently we have 120 MVA capacity. We are adding 100 to it. So almost 220, adding up to 80% of the present capacity.
The interim managing director of TCN, Usman Good Mohammed, has announced a new national peak of 5,155.9 megawatts recorded on the 8th of December 2017, made possible by the sheer hard work of staff. Mr. Mohammed, in his end-of-year message to staff of the company, urged them to work towards a national peak of 6,000 megawatts in the early part of 2018. He was quick to reel some landmarks of the organization, such as the establishment of the Transmission, Rehabilitation and Expansion Program, TREP, which attracted financing for several projects from donor agencies, installation of transformers at substations across the country by TCN's engineers, and the resolution of several line issues that lingered for years. The IMD said the company took a bold step on the fiber optic network concession contracts to ensure that primary objective of installation of fiber optic on all transmission infrastructure for the control and management of the grid is restored. He said TCN entered into collaboration with several partners aimed at repositioning the company for better service delivery and paid glowing tributes to colleagues he passed on during the year 2017. The prompt restoration of power supply to residents of Jos after the 1x150 MVA power transformer got burnt in the area has been described as exemplary by customers of the Transmission Company of Nigeria. The report.
Investigations reveal that the fire incident started on the secondary side of the transformer's blue face bushing when a conductor snapped and caused oil to gush out of the bushing. The fire reports say intensified due to the continuous spill of oil engulfing the power transformer until TCN engineers with the State Fire Service put out the fire. However, TCN engineers were able to successfully isolate the burning 150 MVA, 330 by 132 by 33 kV power transformer from other energized parts of the substation to prevent further escalation.
Between the hours of 4 to 5, the transformer tripped, and at the time it tripped, we had an explosion on one of the bases on the secondary side. And at that time of explosion, we came down quickly and we saw fire coming from that bushing. And as the fire was coming out, because the transformer contained oil, and the oil started gushing out from that particular bushing. And then, of course, with that situation, the fire just started burning.
Managing Director and CEO of the Jos Electricity Distribution Company, Mohammed Gidado, is calling on customers to pay for the power they get, stressing that government is doing a lot to get electricity to the people.
I would commend what TCN has been doing in the last 2 years. It's fantastic. I mean, with the sort of incidents that happened in just 2 weeks ago. If it was 2 years ago, believe me, just would have been out today. But they managed to restore supply within a few hours, within 6 hours. That is quite commendable. I think that the public should lend their support to the sector, to lend their support also in being vigilant to manage these assets, and then to also be responsible by paying their due bills as at when due. That is the most important, I think. Once we are able to get things right, we would definitely see incremental growth. And I tell you that power sector is going to be the key to driving Nigeria's economy. Once we get this right, believe me, the sky is the limit for this country.
Power lines carry electric current that can cause serious injury or death. Stay at least 50 meters away from the 330 kV power lines, 30 meters away from the 132 kV power lines, and 15 meters away from the 33 kV power lines. Stay safe. Stay away from electric power lines. This message is from the Transmission Company of Nigeria.
Up next is Power Flash.
Let me say very, very clearly that no one person can claim individual credit for the progress that we have made. This credit and progress is a product of teamwork, starting from our leader himself, the president, to the vice president, to many people in government, and in your own companies too. People in the local community who offer peace so that production can take place. Many people who members of the public will never see, but many people whose work contributes to our progress. To all of those people who work in the backstage, to my own staff in the ministry, I salute you for your service. I value your work, and I thank you for your hard work. I will implore you to realize that there is still more work ahead. Nigerians expect a lot more from us. The fact that we can produce 7,000 megawatts of power and can only sell over 5,000 means that there is about 2,000 megawatts of power out there that we need to put out to the people who need them. As I said, this is a new problem, but it's a problem that I am sure that if we continue to do what we have done, working together, sharing ideas, we will overcome it. One of the reasons why we must get this 2,000 megawatt power out is not just because Nigerians need them. That's the most important reason. But another reason is that more power is coming in 2018.
As usual, many residents and the bulk of the workforce in Abuja live around Apo.
Apo is known to be a nice and fast-growing area in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. It is home to serving and erstwhile senators and representatives of the National Assembly. Apo is in the phase 2 of Abuja and a 2-minute drive to the city center. As the area experiences expansion due to population increase and infrastructural presence, some less privileged Nigerians have sought refuge for their businesses so as to earn a living. What is of concern to well-meaning Nigerians, corporate organizations, and the government is the increasing number of business sheds under transmission lines, throwing caution to the wind. Some Nigerians condemned the act while calling for necessary legislations to discourage businesses under the transmission lines. These men testify of the death of a young man under the transmission lines.
The way they explain for us, the boy climb this high tension, the second step. So the thing can spark. The boy can all if you see all in body, like say a fire catching myself. All in body feel. So all those and all those people where they do the local business, where they come hide because of environmental. All those in the government want made them cooperate with people, made them arrange, give them all those local business where they know if you go rent shop, where they sell all those minerals. May government give them like a space so that environmental cannot come and disturb them.
I want government to help everybody, like them here, to provide a good place for them, where they can stay, where nothing will happen to them. They do their business and their daily activities. Because I know it's frustration. It's not really advisable for them too. But they have no option. They have nowhere to go.
In a bid to dissuade perpetrators from this act, some concerned Nigerians offer advice for swift government presence in these areas.
Most people that they stay under this high tension, if you go there now, you see many Bolag people. They can read and write. But due to the nature of their family or financial background, they will get some errors. And let me tell you, I witnessed this type of thing. There is a car in my place that parked under high tension. That car, none of the person come out. That one happened for something like this.
It's not good, but we plead to our government. They should try and indicate something like this thing It's dangerous to woman health.
It's time now to listen to your views and comments on the Power Wheel. This is a feedback segment.
I'm very much happy. I'm happy, at least let's assume 50%, because they are not giving us light the way we're supposed to be getting light in this place. We're paying bills steady. Every month we pay the bill, but we're not getting the light the way we're supposed to get. So I will not tell you I'm 100% happy. I'm not happy like that. My advice to the government is they should try and add more transformer in our area so that we'll be getting light, so that people will enjoy paying their bill without complaining. You'll be paying bill, you're not getting what you want. At least it's making people to be upset. So we are begging government to add more transformer and other things that we need that are necessary, so that we're enjoying the government and we'll be happy with the government.
Probably, at least they're supposed to give us the light like 20 hours a day, each day, at least 20. Even if it is for maintenance purposes, at least 20 hours a day. The government should try and get the all necessary materials for electrical power, because it is dependent on power materials from outside the country. Those materials should be produced locally so that it will increase more job opportunities. Those materials that are needed should be procured locally, because we have the manpower to do it here.
I want them to come and put another transformer, because always the transformer is always blowing every now and then. So we need another transformer.
Please make government assist all those people where they sell something where no good on top here. Make government come gently, come do better work for us. Please make government assist. If you see all this area, you go see. And it's not supposed to any person come near all those poles. It's very risky. It's anytime, anything can happen. Even bridge can feel called this thing. Talk less about people will go drink any alcohol, surely or sukudai. All this and Madara go come climb this thing.
That's all we have for you on this edition of the program. Please continue to send your views and comments to us as we work hard to keep the power wheel of Nigeria turning. I am Omelogo Nadi.